What is up, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be ranking every single bench remaining in the 2023 NBA playoffs based off of the production each team is getting from their bench so far and how I expect the bench to play moving forward. Now, I don't care how good the bench looks on paper, because if they're not producing on the court, then they're not worthy of a higher ranking. And I will be honest, most of these benches so far in the playoffs have been kind of ass outside of the top 2 or 3. A lot of teams have one great bench player carrying their bench, followed by 2 or 3 dudes who are just playing like garbage. So look, if you guys do enjoy the video, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to leave a comment what you guys think about who the best benches are or what you guys think of the rankings. Without further ado, at number 8, I've got the Denver Nuggets bench of Bruce Brown, Christian Braun, and Jeff Green, who are the 3 players who are really only getting minutes in the playoffs. Now, Bruce Brown is carrying this bench as the de facto point guard alongside Jamal Murray when Nikola Jokic sits, and he is the closer in fourth quarter situations over a Michael Porter Jr. And I love Bruce Brown. He doesn't shy away from guarding KD or Booker, and he plays with a lot of grit and hustle. The rest of the bench, however, leaves a lot to be desired. Reggie Jackson and Thomas Bryant, they look like great additions on paper when they were signed to the Nuggets, right? But they have yet to make a positive impact for the Nuggets all season long, and you just can't trust those guys right now. Christian Braun, he's a rookie who he's shown some great heart and some hustle, but he ultimately isn't someone that you'd want playing big minutes in a playoff series. Jeff Green, he's a grandpa, man. Like, he just isn't the same player as he was all those years ago. And so the thing is, the Nuggets, their top 6 guys, including Bruce Brown and the rest of the starting lineup, are so great that Michael Malone can just stagger the lineups. Then they don't really need to rely on their bench as much, which is why guys like Christian Braun and Jeff Green haven't even seen much run. But with that being said, because the bench is so weak and the Nuggets are so over-reliant on their top 5 or 6 guys, I've got them coming in at last place. At number 7, I've got the Phoenix Suns, who on paper, they've got a fucking solid bench, man, but on a nightly basis, you just don't know what you're going to get out of it. I think right now, Jock Landale has been the Suns' most reliable bench player, who's actually outplayed DeAndre Ayton at times and has proven to be a very reliable backup big. But outside of that, you really don't know what you're getting. Torrey Craig, I think, is a very underrated 3-and-D wing who fucking showed out against the Clippers, and right now his minutes have been cut big time. He's not even getting playing time, so I'm not sure what's going on there. He hasn't been getting playing time. I'm sure if he does play and gets consistent minutes, he can make an impact, but that's just the way it is right now. Landry Shamet, he just had a huge game 4 against the Nuggets, dropping 19 points and hitting 5 very, very timely threes. Prior to this game, though, he was playing like ass as well, averaging 2 points per game in his first 7 games, shooting 32% from the field and 22% from 3. And even now, he did have a breakout game, but who's to say that he's not going to drop 0 points the next game, right? Damian Lee, he had a very good regular season, but he's been cut from the rotation. And the same goes for guys like Terrence Ross and TJ Warren, who on paper, they're microwave scorers, but neither have really found their rhythm in the playoffs and gotten consistent minutes. And so, yeah, overall, look, on paper, they look great, but you just don't know what you're getting out of them on a nightly basis. So I've got them coming in at 7. At number 6, I've got the Golden State Warriors, whose bench is led by Jordan Poole, who on paper, you look at his stats, 11.6 points, 3.6 assists, 2.4 rebounds, 10 games into the playoffs. Doesn't look too bad overall, until you realize they're paying this guy $140 million to shoot absolutely terribly. He's shooting 35.5% from the field and 28.8% from 3. Plays 0 defense and look completely uninterested out there on the floor. I mean, shit, if the Warriors signed me, I'd at least look interested out there and I'd do it for a fraction of that price, right? But overall, I just don't see him getting that much better and elevating the Warriors to the player that the Warriors need him to be. Moses Moody, on the other hand, he's been playing very well when given the opportunity, but a lot of guys they just haven't been very impactful. You got Dante DiVincenzo and Gary Payton II, who have been pretty disappointing overall and almost non-factors offensively. Shout out to JaMychal Green, though, speaking of offensively, who had a fantastic game 2, stepping up in the absence. Well, not in the absence, but Looney was playing through illness, and JaMychal Green scored 15 points in 13 minutes in a big Game 2 win. I'd like to see Steve Kerr give Jonathan Kuminga some more time, seeing as the Warriors bench is already pretty bad as it is, and Kuminga can make some plays purely from his athleticism alone. And so, with the Warriors, I think that their bench, it just isn't talented enough to make consistent impact, but I do think that with the coaching and with the system, you can kind of expect 1 or 2 of them to show up on any given night. Who that is, we don't know, but I've got them at number 6. At number 5, I've got the Philadelphia 76ers bench. DeAnthony Melton has been an excellent 3-and-D wing who's played great defense on both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, whilst, B-Ball, Paul Reed, He solidified himself as the backup center to Embiid probably for the foreseeable future after years of experimenting between Al Horford, Dwight Howard, Andre Drummond, and even Montrezl Harrell. You've got George Niang. He can come in and hit a 3 or 2, but he gets absolutely cooked on defense. And I think if he misses his first 2 or 3 shots, I don't think he should be playing at all. Just send him to the end of the bench, because if he's not hitting threes, he can't really do anything. Jalen McDaniels has been pretty disappointing for the 76ers this postseason, despite right now being tailor-made for this series against Boston as a long, rangy, on paper, 3-and-D wing, right? I think Shake Milton and Daniel House, they're both rotation players on a lot of NBA teams, even if they're rotting away on Doc Rivers' bench. And personally, I think Milton deserves to be playing right now just because of his ability to generate his own offense and knock down some shots. But with that being said, the 76ers bench, the only real consistent contributor off the bench right now is DeAnthony Melton. Shout out to Paul Reed, he's been very good. Although, you got George Niang, who has stepped up as of late as well. So I've got them in at number 5. Number 4, I've got the Miami Heat with Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, Cody Zeller, and whoever the fuck else they want to play with all these injuries that they've got going on. Kyle Lowry, first and foremost, I think he's really found his rhythm as a, veteran point guard coming off the bench who can kind of do a little bit of everything. He's not a starter in this league anymore, let's be real, but I think he still has a lot to offer coming off the bench, and we did see him explode for, 30, 31 points against the Hawks in the play-in game, so he's still got a bit of gas left in the tank. Duncan Robinson, he's one of the most overpaid players in the league who, you paid him for being a shooter, but he's extremely inconsistent now that he's out of the bubble, right? So right now, though, he is making the most of his opportunity, averaging almost 8 points per game and connecting on nearly 50% of his three-pointers in the absence of Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo. So he's doing what he's getting paid to do, except he's still very overpaid. Caleb Martin, I think he's very, very underrated. And in my eyes, he's an elite role player who would fit on any team as a scrappy, plug-and-play, 3-and-D wing. He probably wasn't in the best position when he was starting at the 4 position for the Heat, but coming off the bench, it looks really good, so I like him a lot. And this Heat bench, you look at their personnel, they're playing as well as you can ask or expect from them. They're surpassing expectations in my eyes. And I think this is largely due to the fact that Eric Spoelstra is a genius and he can make the most of what limited resources he has. So I've got the Heat bench coming in at number 4. At number 3, I've got the LA Lakers. Firstly, shout out to Lonnie Walker IV, who we all know he was a starter during the regular season, and then ever since the trade with Malik Beasley coming in, he was pretty much made a bench warmer. But he stayed ready, he didn't complain about his role, and he came up big in Game 3 against the Warriors, so shout out to him. Rui Hachimura, that guy's a straight bucket, and I'm glad he made Desmond Bane eat his own words in the opening round. And his three-point shot looks much, much more fluid in comparison to when he was on the Wizards, after working a lot with assistant coach for the Lakers, Phil Handy. Dennis Schroeder has always been one of the better backup point guards in the league, and his pesky defense definitely comes in handy against the Steph Currys and Ja Morants of the world. Troy Brown Jr. overall, he's had a pretty terrible postseason, but his regular season play is pretty inspiring as a 3-and-D wing. If he can just nail 35-36% of his threes, I think his defensive versatility will come in very handy in certain matchups. And then you got guys like, Malik Beasley, Wenyen Gabriel, who are regular season contributors but haven't gotten much run in the playoffs, but I do think they deserve an honorable mention because they're also plug-and-play guys, Beasley can come in, fuck around, maybe drop 5 points on 2 of 6 shooting. No, I'm just kidding. But, honestly, Beasley can come in, hit 3 or 4 threes off the bench. Wenyen Gabriel, he's a bit undersized. I don't think he's a backup center material. He's more of a third-string guy, but he hustles and he plays hard, so you got to give him respect. So I've got the Lakers coming in at number 3. At number 2, I've got the New York Knicks with their bench of Immanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin, and Isaiah Hartenstein. Josh Hart has moved into the starting lineup in place of Quentin Grimes the past 3 games, as Grimes returns from a shoulder injury. But man, Tibbs has a legit bench to work with and he's playing them, which is telling you a lot because he doesn't like playing his bench guys, right? Immanuel Quickley was the 6th Man of the Year finalist who can explode for 30 or 40 points on any given night whilst playing amazing defense. Quentin Grimes is a very underrated 3-and-D wing, although he has struggled in the playoffs thus far, but he's a very promising young player. Speaking of promising young players, Obi Toppin is another one. He's one of those guys who I could see averaging 18 and 10 if you put him on a team where he's starting right now. He's a very plug-and-play type of guy. And Isaiah Hartenstein, he's one of the best backup bigs in the league that nobody talks about. And this Knicks bench, you look at them, they're just as well-rounded as they come, but they're 4 just short of number 1 for me. I think if Josh Hart was on the bench, I would actually put them at number 1, but because Josh Hart is starting right now, got them at number 2. At number 1, I've got the Boston Celtics with their bench of Malcolm Brogdon, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, and a pinch of Sam Hauser. Now, You can't really argue against the bench, which is led by the sixth man of the year in Malcolm Brogdon, as well as Robert Williams, who was the starting center last season on a team which made the NBA Finals with one of the stingiest defenses in recent years. These two guys are starters on many NBA teams, and it's truly a blessing to have them come off the bench for my Celtics. Brogdon is more than capable of scoring 25 to 30 points on, crazy good efficiency to either help the Celtics offense stay afloat when one of the Jays are cold, or completely obliterate other teams when he's on fire alongside both of the Jays. The Time Lord, look, he hasn't looked the same as he did last season when he was a DPOY type player, but he's still one of the best rim protectors in the league, and he's extremely versatile when it comes to switching onto perimeter players, and his vertical spacing is invaluable for the Celtics. He actually led the Celtics in net rating during the regular season, despite obviously returning to form. Grant Williams, he's a bit of a wild card, and he's had a bit of an up and down season. He had a lot of expectations coming in this season, and then, he fucked around and said, I'll make both, and then he missed both free throws. But look, he's definitely valuable to the Celtics, especially when it comes to defending against guys like Embiid, LeBron, and Giannis, and those types of players. And he has shown that he can knock down threes on the biggest stage if he'll just stick to that rather than just pump faking and sidestepping or dribbling into a crowd. Sam Hauser, he's someone that hasn't really gotten much run against the 76ers so far, but he can flat out shoot the ball, and he's more than capable of holding his own defensively despite teams just targeting him on switches time and time again. And so the Celtics, I've got them at number 1, and that's it. Ranking every single bench left in the NBA playoffs. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Love to have a discussion with you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay tuned for more content. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.